Hello, dear children. Namaste to all of you, and very, very warm welcome to the next session of our VIP series for CBSE Class 10 Biology. This is Ambika, your biology master teacher, right here on this super duper amazing platform of Vedantu. Okay, guys, so let us get started. Today, we are going to be continuing with the chapter life processes. Remember, in the last session, we discussed two life processes, which were nutrition and respiration. And we are left with two more, which are transportation and excretion. We are going to be covering them today. Okay. So before we start, as always, it's important to start with full motivation and with an entirely positive mind. Take time to make your soul happy. That's very important. It's only a happy mind, a satisfied and a content mind which can do its best. So always remember this. It's a very, very simple rule. Okay. So children, let us get started with transportation. I'll just quickly just brush up the major concepts we need to know, because as we know in the VIP series, we are mainly focusing on the most frequently asked, or rather the most exam favorite concepts. When I say concepts, it's literally the exam favorite concepts. And although we will be discussing a few questions also today, the main idea is to give you a good understanding of what could possibly improve your chances of scoring better in these chapters. All right. So we know that in transportation, this is what we talk about, right? The nutrients getting transported and the gases which get transported around the body. It's your blood or the vascular system, the blood vascular system, which helps in just that. And for all these purposes, the body requires an efficient system: nutrients, gases, waste matter, everything, right? Now, blood cells in your body are chiefly of three kinds: RBCs, red blood cells, white blood cells or WBCs, and platelets or thrombocytes, right? And of course, talking about the heart and the blood vessels, children, very important to know the diagram of the heart. Okay, the diagram of the human heart is super duper important for you to know. And of course, the different kinds of blood vessels. Arteries always carry blood away from the heart. Always remember, veins carry blood towards the heart. And always remember the schematic diagram, the schematic double circulation diagram. All right. Now, coming to the types of blood vessels. I think I've told you already, arteries which carry blood away from the heart. Very important to know this. Veins which carry blood towards the heart, and there are capillaries which are one cell in thickness, which are closely in contact with all the cells and tissues of your body. All right. Yes, and this would be the comparison between the arteries, veins, and capillaries. To be very honest, this particular diagram is more frequently asked in ICSE exams as compared to CBSE. But CBSE children must also know this, because differentiates between arteries and veins. What if it comes for a 3-mark as a 3-mark question? You will have to know this very well. Remember, arteries, because they carry blood away from the heart, they are much thicker walled as compared to veins, which are thinner. Okay, and capillaries, as we know, are definitely really, really thin. One layer of endothelium, or one cell in thickness, as we can call them. And whatever else you remember about the structure, you could write them. Functionally, just remember, all arteries except pulmonary artery would carry oxygenated blood, and all veins except pulmonary vein would carry deoxygenated blood. Super important rule for you to know. And the other one that I was telling you about, double circulation, right? Remember, pulmonary circuit and systemic circuit. Children, remember, this diagram is super duper important. Whether it's asked in the form of a diagram or as a flow chart, doesn't matter. Make sure you know this inside out. When I say you must know this inside out, what I mean is, even when I come and wake you up in the middle of the night, you must be able to tell me the answer. I come and wake you up at 12 a.m. in the middle of the night and ask you, name the blood vessel which carries blood away from the heart to the lungs. What would you say? You must tell me the answer is dash. Let's see how many of you come up with the answer for that question. I will check how many of you have put the answers in the comment section below. All right. So remember, I'll repeat the question. Name the blood vessel which carries blood away from the heart to the lungs. All right, quickly give me the answer. And this would be the easiest to know. Children, make this a part of your mind maps or your handwritten notes, whatever you are in the habit of making. But make sure you know this thoroughly well. Super duper important. Okay, and then about lymph. Children, I know many children are confused about what exactly the lymph is. So remember, we've discussed this several times. If you want to know the details of all of these concepts, please do check out the Umang series. Please check out the BioBite series and also the one-shot series. We've been doing a pretty decent job of covering almost everything in detail. Okay, so check those out. And yes, this is about the lymphatic system in general. What do lymph nodes do? What are lymphatic capillaries? What is lymphatic trunk? Or what is lymph in general? And how is it related to the blood vascular system? All of these are important for you to know. Getting started with the questions finally. Give reasons for the following. Okay, arteries are thick-walled. Why do you think arteries would be thick-walled? Think about the reason. Second question is, blood flows only once through the heart in fishes. Okay, interesting. Now, if you remember, the arteries are thick-walled because arteries always carry blood away from the heart, right? Normally, when they carry blood away from the heart, okay? All right, that's not a beautiful heart, but it's okay. It carries blood away from the heart, and as a result, because it's from the heart to the multiple different parts of your body, obviously blood has to be pumped under very, very high pressure. In order to withstand that pressure, your arteries are highly thick-walled under very high pressure. This is the main point over here. And the blood flows only once through the heart in fishes. Now, in the case of fishes, if you remember from your ninth grade, in your ninth standard, you would have learned that a fish has a two-chambered heart, one auricle or one atrium and a ventricle. Unlike in the case of birds and human beings, fishes have what we call single circulation. We have what we call double circulation, right? So in this case, what happens is the heart would pump deoxygenated blood to the gills because the fish breathes through the gills. Air, oxygen-rich air from outside, from the water, enters into the gills of the fish's body. Okay, so this is where the oxygen from the gills, which has come in contact with the gills, and the blood which is there takes place. Okay, so oxygenated blood from the gills is then supplied to the body parts of the fish, and there the oxygen gets utilized and carbon dioxide is given in return, and that carbon dioxide rich blood comes into the gills and that just gets eliminated through exhalation. This is why blood flows through the heart only once in the case of fishes. Right, children? So remember, in a fish, it's mainly between the gills and the heart. Okay, so oxygen-rich blood would go from the gills to the heart, and on the contrary, let me just use a blue color here to make it a little easier for you to understand. From the heart to the gills, carbon dioxide-rich blood would move, and that gets eliminated out, okay, through exhalation. And this oxygen-rich air would enter inside through the gills by breathing in, right, from the exterior. From the exterior. Shall I just write exterior there? Yes, exterior or dissolved oxygen from the water or the exterior. All right, so this is about single circulation in fishes. Next one. Explain how water and minerals are transported in plants. Okay, now if you remember this, transport in plants, the main thing we need to know here would be the xylem and the phloem, right? Xylem and phloem. But because the question is talking only about water and minerals, we are talking about xylem alone. If it's about translocation, it would have been about phloem. All right. So in this case, you need to mention this well in detail. Say, for example, it's for 3 marks. Well, I personally think this is worth being asked for 3 marks. If it's being asked for 3 marks, all of these major points have to be there. First of all, you must make it clear that most plants obtain their water and minerals from the roots. Secondly, these minerals travel into the plant's body dissolved in water. So basically, when the roots of the plant take in water, the dissolved minerals also enter in automatically. Okay, and then from the roots they get transported upward through the plant body through the xylem cells, through the cells of the xylem tissue, and over there they just form a continuous channel, a continuous conducting channel. And how exactly the steady movement of water into xylem occurs, osmotic pressure is formed, and from one cell to the other, it gets transported through osmosis. Okay, so that's about it. And transpiration also plays a role in transportation because it acts as a pulling force. Okay, transpirational pull. Okay, so from the plant body, if this is the top of the plant body, from the uppermost part, transpirational pull would happen, creating the requirement for pulling up more and more water molecules to that vacant space at the top of the plant body. So this is how water and minerals are transported in plants. Remember, children, mainly you must remember about transpirational pull and root pressure, and just mention how xylem is able to form a continuous column, a continuous conducting channel. Okay, now a diagram based question. Okay, well, I personally think this one, the label diagram of the human heart, it's worth being asked for 5 marks. Okay, but you can't say, you never know. It could come for 3 marks, wherein you are expected to draw a basic, neat diagram and a well labeled diagram. And on top of that, there might be some questions accompanying it as well. So children, because you are most likely not going to be permitted to use different colored pencils or different colored pens in your final exam, there is a black and white image here in front of you. I think it makes it very, very clear. Okay, what you mainly need to know is where would the right atrium be, the right ventricle be, left atrium and the left ventricle. I think if you know these 4 chambers positions, you are pretty much 50% sorted, and the rest of it you will be able to write, draw and mark according to your understanding of that double circulation. All right, children, so that's one small tip that I wanted to give you. Remember, always remember that simple mantra which I told you. In case you get confused between right and left when you draw the diagram, draw any diagram in the human body for that matter, for a biology exam, always remember you are the doctor observing the body, observing the organs within the body of your patient who is facing you as in front of you, facing you. So obviously right and left, there's a chance that you might go wrong with it, but remember you are looking at your patient's heart in front of you. Okay, so right and left, very important to know. So based on this, you would also have to know the valves, the tricuspid and the bicuspid valves. Remember the codes that we always discuss for that, RTR, LBL, and always remember B or bicuspid valve is also called mitral valve. Okay, and everything else that's important, children. Always remember, when it comes to a diagram based question, neatness carries marks. Just drawing some random figure with some random tubular structures and with labelings just crossing each other and I don't know what, such pathetic, poorly presented diagrams are never, ever going to be fetching you marks. Always keep that in mind. Neatness plays a major role. Keeping it scientifically correct is what matters. The other day, one of my students was asking me, ma'am, is it okay if I shade the diagram using my pencil during exams? Well, I would say it's all right, but the only thing I want you to keep in mind is that shading or any such artistic effects wouldn't carry any additional marks. So is it worth spending those extra minutes in a diagram? That's something that you possibly have to plan for yourself. If you think you have the luxury of time, well and good. I'm sure my smarties all have the basic ability to judge how much time you have during your exams. Right, children? So that's about it. What is more important is that your diagram has to be scientifically correct. Okay. So when I say scientifically correct, what I mean is the positioning of all the chambers and all the blood vessels have to be absolutely perfect. Okay, for example, pulmonary artery, you can't draw the pulmonary artery like it's coming from the left ventricle. Pulmonary artery has to come from the right ventricle. And aorta, you can't mark it coming from the right ventricle. It has to come out from the left ventricle, and so on. These are the scientifically valid points that you must keep in mind while drawing any diagram in biology. All right, and as I have probably told you earlier, try and keep everything in capital letters. If at all you think your handwriting is not legible enough, especially try and keep it in block letters or capital letters, all the labels. Okay. As much as possible, please don't use running letters in labeling diagrams. Okay. Right. So that's about the diagram of the human heart. Now, name the following parts. Chamber of the heart that pumps out deoxygenated blood. What do you think it is? Okay, so just remember, think about the answer in your mind. The second one says the blood vessel that carries away oxygenated blood from the heart. Okay. The third one says blood vessel that receives deoxygenated blood from the lower part of our body. Okay, chamber of the heart that pumps out deoxygenated blood. It has to be the right ventricle. So children, always remember, let me probably draw this for you. Okay, this is your heart. This is your right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, and the left ventricle. Now, it is from your right ventricle that deoxygenated blood would be pumped out through the pulmonary artery to your lungs. Okay, so this is deoxygenated blood. All right, then from here to here, it would be the pulmonary vein which carries oxygenated blood. Okay, oxygenated blood. From here to here, and from here, it would be the aorta. Aorta, which carries oxygenated blood to the different parts of the body. All right, and from the body, deoxygenated blood. Okay, deoxygenated blood. This would be oxygenated. Okay, deoxygenated blood from the different parts of your body would be carried by the vena cava into the right atrium. This is how the circulation works. So, based on this diagram, tell me the answer. Chamber of the heart that pumps out deoxygenated blood. Obviously, the answer has to be, beyond doubt, the right ventricle. From the heart, deoxygenated blood gets pumped out from the right ventricle because it's your pulmonary artery which takes care of this. Next one. Blood vessel that carries away oxygenated blood from the heart. What could it be? Oxygenated blood comes out from your left ventricle, out of your body through the aorta. It's an artery by the name aorta. The third question says, blood vessel that receives deoxygenated blood from the lower parts of our body. It has to be, what do you think it has to be? Vena cava? Yes, of course, but more specifically, it has to be the inferior vena cava, right? Inferior vena cava, because it says lower parts of the body, right? So posterior or inferior vena cava. If it's from the upper parts of your body, it would be superior or anterior vena cava. So this is it, right ventricle, aorta, and the inferior vena cava becoming the answer for you. Okay. Now, describe double circulation in human beings. Why is it necessary? And how are arteries different from veins? Remember, second part of the question, I have already told you the answer to it. We've discussed that well in detail. Now, describing double circulation in human beings, I think this entire thing is worth being asked for 5 full marks. So, first of all, you just need to mention the point that blood enters twice through the heart or passes twice through the heart during its circulation. Okay, and first of all, you need to write about the connection between the lungs and the heart, and the second one between the heart and the rest of the body. So probably pulmonary and systemic circulation. And why is this necessary? It's necessary to separate oxygenated blood from deoxygenated blood, but that's not it. That is important further to provide more energy, because we are talking about higher chordates like birds and mammals, which need a lot of energy for the efficient functioning, efficient working of the body systems. So obviously, double circulation does the job very, very well because it's important to keep oxygenated and deoxygenated blood separate. Okay, right. So difference between arteries and veins, very important for you to know. And possibly you could also write well, carries blood from the heart to the different parts of the body. Okay, so I would say writing about thick walled being thin walled, blood from heart to different parts of the body, from the body organs to the heart. Arteries do not have valves, veins do have valves. Arteries are deeply placed, veins are superficially placed. You could possibly write, except the only exception is the pulmonary artery. Okay, all carry oxygenated blood. And in this case, it would be the other way around, except the pulmonary vein, all of them would carry, right, deoxygenated blood, right? Okay. So this is super important for you to know. Always keep this in mind. As I always tell you, children, the easiest trick to remember is that arteries, A, stands for away. Away from what? Away from the VIP of our circulatory system, which is the heart, of course, beyond doubt. Okay. Children, let's take a very quick break now. Remember that Vedantu Pro subscription has got a lot to offer you. You can be part of unlimited live classes with fun and high-level quizzes and compete with students across the world. And not just this, if at all you happen to miss a session while it's happening live, you can have a look at the interactive replay with live quizzes and leaderboards. Yes, children, and you can also download premium handwritten content, handwritten notes from your master teachers. Doubts would be solved in class. Tests and assignments would also be given to you, which have been designed very, very carefully, keeping in mind that you need practice and you need access to something that will boost your confidence by the time your exam comes. And of course, free micro courses and crash courses for your competitive exams. So how exactly does it work? Children, the coupon code, remember, is AMBPRO. So to know more about this, click on the link in the description box below and check out the link in the pinned comment as well. All right. Okay. So now talking about the pricing. Okay. A 1 month subscription normally costs you 2,699 for your 4 major subjects, which are science, mathematics, English, and social studies. In no particular order, it's going to be covering all of these 4 subjects. And for all these together, which means for approximately 200 live sessions, you end up paying just 2,699. Well, I think that's amazing. But you know what's even more amazing? On top of this, apply the coupon code AMBPRO and you will be able to access it at an even lower price, 2,159 only. Can you imagine? Yes, and it's true. For those of you who want to stay tension-free for a longer period, which is till the end of this academic year, remember, you just need to pay 7,200 for 600 sessions, which is going to be the sessions you will be getting to attend live till the end of this academic year. So basically, just have a look at it. It's not too different when it comes to per session price. There is a difference of 1 rupee. Okay, so the per session price in this case for a 1 month subscription would be rupees 11 because it's for 200 sessions, and for 600 sessions it's going to be rupees 12 per session. Right, children? So when you think of it, this price is even more reasonably or cheaper than your favorite pack of Lays, than almost equal to a regular pack of Lays, right, children? So I would suggest, without wasting any time, please enroll yourselves in it because as you know, it's all very, very competitive, and on YouTube we will continue to do our best. There's no doubt in that. But always remember that understanding where you are strong and where you are not so strong is very, very important. So these courses are designed to help you identify that and ensure that you are entirely confident by the time your exam comes. All right, children, now I think it's completely up to you to decide. Let us continue. Okay, excretion, which is the last life process in the chapter. Remember, there are 4 organs of excretion in humans: lungs, skin, liver, and the urinary tract. Urine is the primary excretory substance. All the others are, I would say, secondary substances. Okay, now this diagram of the human excretory system is super important for you to know. A pair of bean-shaped kidneys, a pair of ureters, urinary bladder, and the urethra. And to be very honest, I would say this is the simplest diagram in this particular chapter as well. But on top of this, you also need to know, okay, this is the diagram that you need to know about excretory system. And note that there is the renal artery and the renal vein that are marked as well. Okay, right. So as I was telling you, continuing, more importantly, you need to know the structure and functioning of the nephrons as well. Well, I would say CBSE and ICSE students, you must know this diagram really, really well, because there are good chances that it can be asked in your final exams. Okay, so nephron, for CBSE, to be very honest, the diagram of the neuron used to be one of the favorites. Even in your 9th standard, probably you have also drawn the diagram several times. But from the chapter Control and Coordination in class 10, it used to be one of the favorite diagrams. But then, unfortunately or fortunately for some of you, this year, the chapter has been deleted from the syllabus. So this nephrons diagram is one of the existing important ones. Okay, so the Bowman's capsule, and there is the afferent arteriole, the glomerulus, there is the efferent arteriole, and then the proximal convoluted tubule, or the PCT, followed by the loop of Henle, the U-pin shaped structure, followed by the DCT. And finally, the collecting duct, or the collecting tubules. Right, children? So this is very important for you to know, and how exactly the nephrons are arranged as well. Okay, so I would say the arrangement and all of those are more commonly asked in ICSE exams, and not so commonly in CBSE, but definitely because it's part of your syllabus, you must have an understanding about it. Urine formation, again, something that is like an overlap between ICSE and CBSE syllabi. This 3 steps of urine formation. Remember, children, CBSE children, I've done a bio bites in 15 minutes video also on this particular topic. So please check it out in case you are looking for something very quick on this topic. Okay, glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, and tubular secretion are the 3 steps of urine formation. Starting with ultrafiltration, wherein the blood which enters the glomerulus gets filtered, and the glomerular filtrate enters into the Bowman's capsule. The rest of it, whatever did not get filtered out, exits the glomerulus through the efferent arteriole. Following this would be selective reabsorption, wherein, remember the analogy which I always tell you, all the useful substances are taken back, reabsorbed back into the blood. Remember that cleaning your room and your mummy and your grandma are coming and examining what you have thrown out. That's the analogy that I always love giving for the concept of urine formation. So check it out on the BioBite series if at all you don't know what I'm talking about. Finally, it would be secretion, wherein there is a final round of cleanup your body does to eliminate any further additional wastes which need to go out with the urine. Okay, so this is a summary of the steps of urine formation: glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, tubular secretion, and ultimately water conservation. Okay, hemodialysis, which we call artificial kidney, right? Artificial kidney, wherein in the case of patients who have a kidney failure, this is a medical procedure which is done to pretty much replicate or pretty much take over or act as a substitute for the actual kidney, so that the person's blood can be cleansed. Okay, because the poor patient's the poor patient's kidneys might not be functioning normally because of some underlying diseases, and accumulation of nitrogenous waste matter would be very, very dangerous to any living organism. As a result, hemodialysis would be prescribed, would be suggested. Okay, righto. So getting to the question section, children, remember, by the way, let me just remind you before we go on, if there's anyone here who hasn't subscribed yet to our channel, please click on the subscribe button right now. Okay, Vedantu 9th and 10th English, because VIP series will be happening for a few days now, and Sprint Text has also begun. As you know, for ICSE Class 10, especially on this channel, we've started with a Sprint Text series already for all your subjects. So please, please, please stay tuned so that you're not going to be missing out on anything valuable that's happening here. Okay, right. So children, the diagram which I told you, one of the simplest diagrams, you are expected to label the kidney, urinary bladder, and the ureter. I would say it's the simplest diagram in the entire chapter. Bean-shaped kidneys, always remember, left kidney is slightly more elevated than the right one. Okay, okay, and then about the blood vessels, the renal artery, the renal vein, and all of those can be marked. But the question mainly says label kidneys. Okay, the right kidney and the left kidney are there, but anyway, the kidneys in general. Urinary bladder, this would be the urinary bladder, and the ureter. Ureter would be these tubes, the right ureter and the left ureter, the tubes with which or through which urine passes into the urinary bladder. Children, again, same rules apply here, be it a plant-based diagram or a human-based diagram. Doesn't matter, always remember, keeping it scientifically correct is very, very important. Okay? Otherwise, unnecessarily, you're going to be losing marks. Structure and functioning of nephron. Again, another very important question. As I've told you, sometimes the diagram for nephron also comes as a part of this. Structure, I think we've discussed those already. The major three parts would be the Bowman's capsule, followed by the proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle, and DCT. So I'll just write that here. Bowman's capsule, PCT, loop of Henle, and DCT. Okay. Then you could also mention glomerulus, which is associated with the Bowman's capsule. Glomerulus. Okay. Right. And yes, I think that's about it. And the glomerulus would enter in through the afferent arteriole and leaves the Bowman's capsule through the efferent arteriole. A comes before E. Afferent enters, efferent leaves it. Okay. Right. So functioning of nephron, you think that's something complex? No, it's not. It's just the mechanism of urine formation, which is being asked. Okay. So many times, children, that's another thing I wanted to tell you all. Many times you might think that the question is asking you something very, very complex, but always keep in mind, just read it a couple of times, maybe read it 3 times if you don't understand. Reading it once and not able to understand what exactly is expected of you could possibly make you panic. But please don't panic at all. Okay. Always remember, the experts who are setting your question paper are pretty much literally experts in their respective fields. So they know how to check your understanding, and quite possibly, most likely, 99.99% of the times, I would say it's going to be something that's very, very simple and something that you already know. Okay, so functioning of nephron, don't write something very random. The question mainly asks you about the 3 steps of urine formation: ultrafiltration, reabsorption, and secretion. Okay, or rather, yes, I will write it as tubular secretion in this case. Okay, step 3. All right. Now, what will happen if there is no tubular reabsorption in the nephrons of the kidney? Remember now, where does tubular reabsorption happen? Okay, let's just draw a rough diagram here of the Bowman's capsule. Okay, this is followed by the PCT. Okay, the PCT, loop of Henle. Okay, and DCT. This is followed by the collecting duct. Right? Okay. So Bowman's capsule is here. PCT is here. Loop of Henle is here. The DCT is here. Okay. Tubular reabsorption. Most of the tubular reabsorption normally happens in the PCT. Now you must remember what this question is. It's slightly an application level question. Basically, it's not sufficient that you know where tubular reabsorption happens, but also why it occurs and what exactly happens in tubular reabsorption. I think this is why learning in the form of the story, which I always tell you, helps you. When a question like this comes and when you just go back to a story like that, okay, so this step, tubular reabsorption, is basically a step where the body, the blood capillaries surrounding the nephrons are trying to reabsorb anything useful like amino acids, glucose, and anything else which the body requires at that point of time. So if at all there is no tubular reabsorption happening unnecessarily, a lot of useful substances could get eliminated through urine every single time, and our body can't afford to do that, right? So yes, this is the main point. When the filtrates containing useful substances and waste substances passes through the tubule, useful substances get reabsorbed. Very important. Useful substances like glucose, amino acids, and all of them get reabsorbed into the body, right, into the blood. So in case this step doesn't happen unnecessarily, it would get eliminated with the urine. Okay, so that's about it, children. I think we've done a good job of revising the chapter life processes in over 2 sessions. Well, I would say not the entire chapter, of course. We've done other sessions for that, but to give you a good understanding of literally what the VIP topics are, VIP concepts are in this particular chapter. Right, children? So remember the coupon code is AMBPRO for the pro subscription, and please click on the like button if you have found this useful, and please share it with your, I would say, CBSE and ICSE friends, because especially the CBSE friends of yours, because everyone is going to benefit from this. And children, also please stay subscribed in case you haven't done it yet, and please spread word about our channel, because as I always tell you, children, we here work very hard and very passionately and sincerely to help you succeed. Well, you can't possibly imagine how much we work to make your learning process a lot simpler, and that's only because we are committed towards it. Vedantu is committed towards it, and every single person in the team is committed to your success. So children, please make the best use of it, because it's a YouTube channel. So the best way you can ensure that you are supporting us is by staying subscribed and also spreading word around your friend circle so that they can also subscribe, and not just that, they can also benefit from every single session that we come up with on this channel. Right, children? And my Instagram ID is right there, Ambika_Vedantu. And I would love to meet you in yet another super amazing session. Until then, remember to stay happy, stay healthy, and this is Ambika signing off. Bye-bye.